Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. On today's show, we got, I guess, the ATVI report. I mean, it was bad, but I guess everyone thought it was bad, and they're on the same side of that trade. So we're going to talk about the after-hours action in ATVI and other earnings reports, of course, TWLO, TEVA, Dish, Groupon, Buy the Dip, and all of them apparently. So we'll run through those. We've got some interesting ratings today as well on Shopify, FCX, Deer, DocuSign, and our guest today, she'll join us at 8:35, Tracy Shucart. She's an independent commodities trader. Joel, you're getting some props for the PreMarket Prep at the close show yesterday. So nice job with that.
Yeah, thank you. It's fun to talk to people. It's fun to look at, I'm trying to take better notes on what we are doing during the show and see if it works out good or it works out bad here. Des made some great calls yesterday. I guess to chase or not to chase, was the answer. But let's look forward to today's trading. S&Ps are up 6.5 handles at 27.50, 1.25. Really didn't get much below the close of 44.75. Our pre-market low is 42.75. So that will be our support for the morning session for the remainder of the day. On the upside, our pre-market high is at 57. Nothing up here, folks. And if you ask me to find resistance here based on the daily charts, I cannot give you a good number until a high that we had in December at 27.94.5. I mean, that's just what the dailies are telling me. I don't know if I'll listen, but that's what the dailies are telling me. Crude's up a quarter here at 53.35, still trying to barrel through that $54 area. Gold quiet in a range, down $2 at 13.12. That could change with the CPI data coming out at 8:30. So we will keep our eyes out for that, any inflationary signs. Silver in the red by 5.5 cents here at 15.63. And as always at 8:03. Let's bring in Triple D. Triple D, busy morning, slow morning. I see you shaved. You look a little bit better there. How you doing?
I got the haircut 2 days ago. I'm all cleaned out. I'm all pretty now.
Okay, I think you
Not
look
really.
good,
I was
man.
never pretty.
We will never get paid for our looks on this show.
That's why we were always radio for so long, just because of that. Now we do the screen here, and it's like, anyways, let's not digress into how we look. Let's digress into how this market looks, and this market looks like it's forever just buy the dip. I mean, this just works, and it's like the simplest strategy ever. It's been working here for the last month again. We said it yesterday on Shop. We said, how long before the stock just gets it back? We even said the level. I'm like, it's anywhere 160. There'll be buyers all over the place. It got near the 160, and buyers were all over the place, but the buyers came up, and the stock closes up. Not only that, it gets love from Kramer last night. Not only that, it gets love from RBC this morning. So you have Shopify, which at one point loses like $14, immediately getting it all back yesterday, and now attacking another 5 points and making a new all-time high. So after disappointing the street just yesterday morning, stock is going to make new all-time highs the next day. Unbelievable resilience in every single stock, it seems like, especially the story stocks. The stocks that were hot last year, like the TWLOs. You look at that one today. Well, that stock got down to 106, 107 here. It's already at 111. It just seems like inevitable that it's going to go green, because that's just what they do. They buy every dip on every Momo stock. Yesterday also we saw Activision Blizzard earnings, which we'll get to in a second, but those, dipped on the initial report. The report was disastrous. It didn't matter because we like we were talking, a lot of the bad news was maybe already baked in. So they bought it up anyways. At the conference call I listened to, they didn't say anything great. They didn't say anything about, when they got asked the big question, Spencer, did you listen to the conference call, Spencer, I've been rambling on here for 2 minutes.
No, here and there, but I missed any mention of.
They asked a big question and said, basically, do you got some type of, game coming, free to play?
Of course they were.
Basically, without saying the Fortnite word, but something to compete with EA. And all they wanted to say was they have a lot of going on in R&D, and they have a lot of things in the works, but they would not answer that question directly. It didn't matter. It was good enough. They bought it up anyway. So stocks trading higher here. I don't know. Where do you want to go? I mean, Shopify, unbelievable comeback. I mean, the whole show we could just, put around buying the dip because that is what's working. That's what continues to work. It isn't going to work forever. It did not work in December, but I tell you, it worked like crazy in January, and it's working in February too.
We'll just Shopify real quick. We talked about that pre-market low at 160.41, and then right off the hop, it went to 160.63. So you just would have had to just like you would have had to just throw a blind bet out there and like above the pre-market low because it never got there. Let's say 161. Closed your eyes, and then you probably swallowed deeply when it went to 160.63, and then if you never look back. But, those are, you got to have those orders because once it hit that 160.63, the low of the next bracket is 165.5. So off to the races here, trading at the highs of the pre-market session, 181. So that's an all-time high. Former all-time high is 180. So we'll keep an eye on those levels. Do we want to do the ATVI report, or we just want to talk about the price action?
Right before that, Spencer just made a good point in the chat, and he's like, buy the dip is working on the strong names, and he's citing the ones that are above the 50, 100, and 200 day. The ones that are weak remain weak. Completely agree here. We're talking about buy the dip on the strong ones, like the TWLOs of the world. That dip already appears to be being bought here this morning. The Shopify dip was bought. Something like TEVA today, which is disappointing the street, that's not so, really in line here with, the story stocks that these other ones are. So that's one thing to consider here is the strong get stronger. The weak don't necessarily get stronger. So it's all about momentum again. And this is the same story as last year. I mean, don't you kind of feel like this is like, the same thing, like we're Groundhog Day here again, Joel? Last year was the same thing. The strong stocks got stronger. The ones they didn't like just stayed in the doghouse. So, I mean, I see the same thing happening again. Maybe it's the portfolio managers all running the same strategies. We know what really moves money, and it's the big money. What moves price is the big portfolio managers, what they're doing. They're all just buying the same stocks. And we even talked about this last year multiple times. I mean, if you're launching a new fund and you're like, oh, I'm going to invest in, all the, dogs here and, buy General Electrics, and although General Electric has come back, it's still, not a story stock. But if you're putting in the TWLOs and all that, that's what people want to invest in. So it's like the growth. They're all after growth still. If you've got growth, those are the stocks that everybody wants. If you don't have growth, you're in the doghouse. And, and some of them have bounced back in January, but I just wonder, stocks like GE, I don't see GE coming back with huge growth here. I almost see it starting to slow down now. It had the nice move from January. Maybe it was to buy the dip, but it feel like, that's not going to be the stock that's going to carry us for the rest of 2019 if we remain in this bull market. It's going to be the TWLOs of the world again. It's going to be the Shopifys. It's going to be the Spotify. Spotify came back too. It took 3 days, but it came back. I mean, it's all about those story stocks.
Should we change our name to PreMarket Prepify?
I noticed Kramer last night. I do this too.
That actually got me to laugh.
Did you notice on Mad Money he was having the CEO of Shopify on, and he accidentally said Spotify, and then he caught himself, and then he makes everything funny. The guy is just funny. So then he's like, oh, Shopify, Spotify, Shopify. And I'm like, I do that same thing. Shopify, Spotify. So I'm glad I'm not the only one. Jim Cramer got in a tongue twister on the two of them too, but he did catch himself, which I thought was hilarious. But SHOP, Spotify, Shopify, PreMarketify. Man, if you got a FI after you right now, you're hot.
Just Twilio here. You did get a low at 106.40. That doesn't look like you're going to be going back there. You've had step up buyers in the after hours. 120. So I don't know.
I mean, eventually it's not going to work, but it was worth sure. Last night Twilio, it took. I was at 108, and I was like, I should just buy this, close my eyes, and I'll make money. But I can't stomach, the after hours and watching it rip down to 106 and getting down in it. And I saw it multiple times trading 108, 109, and I'm just like, I should just buy it because it's going to come back. Like it's what they do. It seems like well, one of these times they're not going to, like I said, but it seems like the strong, when they get that dip, they're just all over it. And it used to take sometimes a few weeks to get it back. Now it seems like they buy it back in the day. Like the Shopify one was incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Twilio probably goes green. If I'm not man, I tell you, I wouldn't be short in a 112.
No, I wouldn't be either. Let's see, to fill the gap from yesterday, you need to get to 114.46. So I'll use that as only minor resistance. And I'll just give you the all-time closing high here, 115.75. I'm sure that will be a mark a lot of people are looking at. 119 is the all-time high. And we kind of skipped around. We didn't do the price action in ATVI, if I remember here correctly.
And we didn't get the numbers either. Spencer, give us the report, because this one is an interesting report.
Yeah, the numbers were, like you said, they were bad, but we knew they'd be bad. So the Q4 adjusted EPS they gave, $1.29. That was in line with the estimate. The adjusted sales they gave, 2.84 versus 3.04 billion dollars. So miss on that figure. They also gave light guidance for Q1 and the fiscal year. Their Q1 EPS guidance, 20 cents versus a 46-cent estimate. Sales 1.18 versus 1.45 billion dollars. So light on both the sales and EPS for the quarter, and light on both the sales and EPS for the fiscal year. So light guidance all the way across the board. Mixed earnings report, and they're laying off 8% of their staff.
Ooh.
Under normal circumstances, if that was just, a report out of the blue, we didn't know any of the story with EA, we didn't know any of the story with Take-Two from their earnings reports and disappointments, I mean, this stock would be getting killed on this. But everybody expected a terrible quarter. They got a terrible quarter, and it still rallied on it. So, I mean, it did get down, and it did give you a chance. I actually went under $40. So the news algos obviously didn't expect it because they had it down. So savvy human traders who were buying it there, congratulations. Because if you're listening and if you're, paying attention to what's been happening here, you kind of knew that they were going to probably, I figured they were going to probably.
Dennis, I had a vision of you looking at that low of the move. The low of the move came 2 days ago at 39.85, and it took the spike down, and it went, where did it go? 39.80. And I just was like, oh man, I wonder if Dennis is getting down and dirty in here. And what I think would happen is you got it there 40, and the bears paused. And they were like, okay, this 39, 38, 37, stacking the bids out there. And it turned around. And then, so I think it made the shorts want to cover just because it didn't make a new low of the move. And then they had to buy into an up market instead of a down market. So that's just my scenario of it. 40.11 has been the low close of the move. You got pretty excited here. You got up to 43.72. I've been talking about the daily level, that 44 area, 43.80, 43.94, another high, 44.30. Just 44 is just a big number to me. It gets above that, takes that out. Got a long way to go to figure a 50% retracement in this one.
Yeah, you know what? And I have no idea on where it's going from here. I still have it in my long-term portfolio, so I still believe in the long-term story, and I think they'll figure it out and they'll get competitive games to compete with, obviously, Apex Legends and Fortnite. But, they didn't say that was imminent at all on the call. So I really didn't hear what I wanted to hear on the call. Market didn't seem to care. So I think from a trading perspective, this is a coin flip. It could start giving some of it back, sure. It's going to be a tricky one. I think you're going to find buyers that get anywhere near that $40 level again. Though.
Oh, it won't get there.
Just from valuation. I don't know if this rips up, though, and starts going 44, 45, 46, because the report was really bad. And the stock is in the doghouse still. So this isn't one that I think, is just going to buy and they're going to rip it right back up to, $50 here in 2 days. It just doesn't fit that bill right now because this is a stock that has been weak.
Okay. All right. Let's continue with this earnings bonanza here.
Let's go TEVA. TEVA's really in head hard here this morning.
Yep.
We're down 11%. Spencer, what'd they say?
Earnings report for TEVA, Q4 EPS 53 cents, missed by a penny. Sales 4.6 versus $4.53 billion. So a sales miss. So not a bad Q4 report, but the guidance they gave was light. Fiscal year EPS guidance, the range they gave, 220 to 250 versus a 281 estimate. Sales guidance also light by about $1 billion. So
getting hit hard
right across the board on the guidance.
Yeah, this is not great. This stock is not a story stock, so this isn't one that I would be coming and buying the dip on. So I agree, Spinner. This is not one that I would be saying, okay, buy the dip. It's pharma has not really had, like, you think about where we've gone, and obviously everything bounced back in January, but when you really put it in perspective here, a lot of stocks, in the pharmaceutical area haven't had the kind of the run that, a lot of other stocks did in January. So this one, ran up a little bit here. Yes, it did. Everything ran up in January, but it was already leaking last few days. Now you get a little, bounce up here. This, coming into the earnings, maybe there's some hope. Now that hope is all dashed here because of things getting hit. I'm not interested in buying the dip on this one.
TEVA here trading down in the pre-market. Really, I mean, you got a couple lows here. If you're looking to bring a short in, you just be aware that 1660 for the last 3 15-minute brackets has found a buyer. You got a gap fill. Boy, you're just back down, but you're not back down at the low of the move here. 1667 was a low, 1623. So these are areas to look at to bring in a short. Not sure about initiating a new long off this, but this is a pretty nice windfall for the shorts. Buffett does own this, but it wasn't his pick. It was.
Was it Charlie?
Joel always says that. He always has that caveat.
Are you joking when you say that, or do you actually know that?
No, he's serious.
Whose pick was it?
Somebody that works.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to pick on anybody.
I thought it's just Buffett and Charlie that are picking them.
Well, Charlie. I don't know who picked it. I just know it wasn't. Thank you, Spencer, for backing me up on that one. But
sometimes Joel makes these jokes and we don't catch them. We take them for
I
seriousness.
I would not when it comes to Warren Buffett. I would not make a joke about Warren Buffett. Maybe Carl Icahn, but not Warren Buffett.
Uncle Carl.
Speaking of Warren Buffett, I do want to remind you folks that tomorrow marks the 45th day from the end of the quarter, which means it's 13F day. So tomorrow after the bell, we're going to get the updated Berkshire.
I thought they're usually on Fridays.
No,
isn't it usually on Fridays?
It's 45 days from the end of the quarter.
Is it always 45 days, or is it? But they often come on Fridays. They don't move to the Friday.
It is always.
I always see that coming on Friday night.
No, it is always 45 days.
All right, so 13Fs begin.
Wait,
the ones that matter, the one that matters.
There we go.
10 times more than any other one is Buffett. Yeah, so if you're trading on 13Fs, 90% of them are almost meaningless. 90% of them don't move stocks. The Buffett one moves everything. If he adds, it can affect it. If he sells a stock or buys a new position, those move significantly. So Buffett is always the most important. Uncle Carl's important. There's a few, that do move them. But I'll definitely say none are as important as Warren Buffett.
And I should clarify, thank you, Brent, for pointing this out. 45 days is the limit, is the latest that they can release, that they can file with the SEC. So, we've seen in the past where someone files randomly before then, but 45 days is the absolute.
Well, we saw a couple didn't we see Tepper? Was it Tepper yesterday or 2 days ago?
Maybe.
I asked Brent on the news desk. I thought I saw Tepper go by.
Maybe. So, 45 days.
Somebody went by. I'm going goldfish memory here, but 2 nights ago, I thought I saw Tepper go by.
I don't think it was Tepper. But the point still stands that, so tomorrow we're going to get everyone, which is nearly everyone who hasn't filed yet, will file tomorrow. And after the bell, we'll get Buffett, we'll get Einhorn, we'll get Icahn, and we'll get all the big ones, and we'll see if there are any trends. But you're right. As interesting as they are, as a whole, Buffett is the only one that tends to move stocks.
Huge. So, Buffett is very important.
So we'll find out what he did with TEVA, if he cut or added to.
Yeah, like you see stuff like that, and you see all of a sudden he cut or he sold TEVA.
Right.
Maybe cut the loss. You'll see TEVA get hit another 5% on that.
Yep.
So, or if you see him add to it, then it was like, oh, maybe that's a good opportunity here to buy cheaper than Buffett. But one thing is, and it drives me crazy, is the people that chase, and put these in their long-term portfolio because Warren Buffett. Because first of all, you don't know where he bought it. He bought it over 45 days ago, potentially. Secondly is you don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's already sold it. It's so backward looking. Plus, you're going to be buying at a premium because when Buffett buys it, then it gets announced that Buffett buys and it pops 3-4%. So now you're definitely buying at 3-4%, higher than at least it was previously here. So you're chasing it too. So it's difficult to just flat out, say, okay, well, Buffett's in, I'm going to buy this too, because you're never going to get probably as good a price as Buffett got.
And also, guys like Buffett, like they scale into a position. He's
They have to.
He's not buying it for 1 quarter and then calling it a day.
They're buying
He's
so
buying
much.
it for like a
they're
year.
using algorithms. They're doing everything that they can. I don't know if Buffett's using algorithms.
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of algorithmic trading, but most of them are. I mean, if you're buying huge positions, you can't just say, okay, I'm going to buy it all here at 78.50. That doesn't work that way. It takes you days sometimes to get the position that you want on. And there's order sniffing algorithms. I will try to make those algorithms pay as well, like when they figure it out. So, it's a whole game, a little bit of gaming going on there too. That's why they're so protective of their orders. They're so protective of what they're doing before they do it. Because if somebody, figured out that Warren Buffett's buying here, they're going to buy the hell out of that stock ahead before Warren can even get in. So they're all very protective of, the stocks that they're interested in buying in. But when you're looking at these things 45 days later, very backward looking.
Yeah, I'll just give you an example here. Like if he comes out and he said, I know it's not his position, but they unloaded a bunch of TEVA, this could be in the last 3 months here. It could have been up near $20 when he did it. So if it's down at 16 or 17, wherever it ends today, you're not replicating the same price. Also, good point out of someone. Wonder if Buffett bought more Apple on the dip, because I remember for sure when he was on, when that stock was trading 210, 215, he's like, he likes it. It's going higher. He just wishes it would go lower so he could buy more. So if
you see him that he added Apple, that's a great point too. You see that, he added a significant Apple position. You'll see Apple pop up on that too. So that's a great point you're making there too, Joel. Speculating. Obviously, we're just speculating.
Speculating. That's all we're doing.
But you know what? That's what market's all about, is speculation. And I think that's not a bad guess that he probably potentially added to it last quarter with it being so weak. We know he likes the company. We know he likes, value. Apple is the definition of a tech stock value stock because it makes a lot of money. So I don't know. It's got down there in the 140s, 150s. He may have been adding. And if they announce it tomorrow or the next day when it comes out, that they actually, that he added, Apple will get a lift on that.
Two biggest questions from my money, two biggest questions from Buffett. What did he do with Apple? And did he keep buying the banks? Because remember, last quarter, he initiated new stakes in JP Morgan and PNC and Travelers, and he added Bank of America, US Bancorp. He bought a lot of banks last quarter, or in the last 13F filing, which was 2 quarters ago. So let's find out tomorrow what he did with that, but that'll be tomorrow for Friday's show. Let's get back to the earnings.
Wait, can I do? I just want to add one more thing here, and I don't know. I don't have his holdings up in front of me, but did he ever sell his GM? I know he's been in GM for a long time. Do you have that at all? Because
yes, I do.
I would.
Where do you get it? Is this in the Pro? Buffett's current holdings?
You can get it in Pro. There's a million sources, but yes, it's in Pro. You can see.
What do you do? Okay, so take me through. Here, bring up the Pro and show me how to go find this, because this is interesting to me too. I didn't know you could look all this stuff in Pro. All right, take me to the Pro. Show it on the screen.
Give me one
because we have a lot of listeners that use the Pro. Obviously, it's Benzinga's product. Where do I go to find out what Buffett's holding?
Give me 1 second. I will pull it up.
You know how to do it off the top of your head.
I do. Yes.
You can do a lot of things in the Pro.
You can do a lot, and my internet is being a little slow. Okay, so here we go. Here's my Benzinga Pro up on the screen right now. So what you can do is you go to the details widget, which is this one here. I'm gonna get rid of my news feed here, and I'm gonna get rid of this window here. Sorry, say that again.
Open a new window when it pops up. Details, new window.
Yep. Details, and you can just search for you can search for a stock, or you can search for a fund. So I'm going to search for Berkshire Hathaway. There's a fund.
Yeah, I see it. Berkshire Hathaway fund. I'm doing it right with you.
Here are his holdings as of the most recent 13F filing, and you can sort by alphabetical.
I didn't know he owned that many stocks. Did you know he owned that many stocks, Joel?
Dennis, that looks like your.
It looks like my portfolio.
He's a busy man. He's a busy investor.
Yeah, so there's
a lot of capital.
If he sold his Kraft Heinz, that's one I'm in with, Warren. Nice job on the Kraft Heinz here.
That's a long time holding.
So is GM?
So it looks like Apple's the biggest one. Yes. He owns a pile of Kraft Heinz, Coke, American. It's all the ones that we know. They obviously own some smaller ones that I didn't realize he owned. But it looks like Apple's his biggest holding.
Yes, by a mile. It's not even close.
So maybe he wouldn't add to because it would always. But then he said he wanted to add. So eventually it's just going to be Apple.
Okay. All right.
Kraft Heinz. Ooh, he's had a rough one on that one. Coca-Cola. It's been okay for him. American Express, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, U.S. Bancorp, Delta.
GM's not. He sold his GM. GM's not in
I
there.
don't see it on there.
He still has GM. He still has GM.
Oh yeah, it is down there, but it's small.
What's he got?
It's only 824 million. It looks like. Or 837
He's
million.
got 50,000 shares.
Putting in perspective, he's got 42 billion in
shares.
Apple, and he's got, so that's just a drop in the bucket. It's like less than 1% of his portfolio, probably.
Okay, I want to know who's out there buying TWLO.
Is it green?
Yeah.
I should have been. Look at the money. It was 112 when we just mentioned that. 111 and change. Look at this. Look at it. Listen to this pre-market prep. You just made 4 points. We made some dang good calls yesterday. You know, some days we get it right. Some days we get it wrong. We don't always make calls. We try to give you a lot of information, and we try to give you our opinion. But yeah, yesterday flat out. You know, we were saying, I was like, I like EA. I like the fade. I said it flat out. And I also said I liked Activision Blizzard ahead just to buy it for a day trade. ATVI actually opened and ran up. And EA, I shorted the open, and that went straight down from the open. So I actually made almost 4 points on it, which is like a huge trade for me because I'm a scalper. I'm scalping for nickels and dimes. So
you didn't have a chance.
I was ready to party in the streets. But it's not entirely true because I made 4 points on my last shares. You know how I work, Joel. I wiggle out of a little bit, I wiggle out a little bit, I wiggle out of a little bit, and on the end of it, I covered the last of them. I was over 4 points in the green. But
right, the
anyway,
last part of the
you taught me that. Wiggle out a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. So anyways, it just kept going straight down. I should have just closed my eyes, walked away for 20 minutes, and the thing went under 100 bucks. I could have actually made 7 points on that because I think my execution was 106.5 or something. Right at the opening print, whatever it was, like 106.30. And within like 5 minutes, it was on the 102 handle. So that was just classic. They already bought it up on that news, which was what the argument was yesterday that I gave. I'm like, now they're going to buy it up. You know, yeah, they have more users, but we knew they were going to have more users. So it wasn't surprising that they sold it back. I'm out of EA, even in my longer term portfolio. Like I said, I'm looking to rebuy it, but I think I'm going to get a chance in the low 90s here. So I just thought too much too fast. Remind me, chat, when it gets back to the low 90s to actually buy it, though, because this is what I do. I'm very good at timing the exits, but then I don't get back in and I forget about it. And then a year later, I'm looking at it, it's at 120. I'm like, why didn't I rebuy it? So remind me, chat, if EA gets in the low 90s to rebuy it.
That EA went down too fast for you to cover. You know, it was like it was going down. Right?
That's just it. If it would have meandered there a little bit, but I kept coming down. I was like, okay, and yeah, it was just straight down. So it was actually made it easier that I didn't have to have the scalper blood, you know, squeezing that out of me when I'm trading the stock.
Dr. Scott likes that you said chat reminders. He put an alert on the chat for when that happens. Okay, just real quickly, S&Ps are still holding some gains here. We're going to have imbalances here at 830. Billion to sell on the close yesterday, Dennis. They just scooped that up like it was free money. I know there was big selling balances, but sold off a little bit. We do have CPI coming out here in a minute and a half, and I think we do have some expectations here.
Cancel all my orders then?
I think you should.
You know how I like getting picked off in the morning.
They're looking for up 0.1% for the CPI January.
Okay, well, you think we're going to move on it? Because I'm going to go trade it. If
down
you think we're going to move on it.
I think we can move on it.
I think we'll move like 20 cents down and then rally $1 on it.
Okay.
That's how this market rolls. I'll buy the dip in the overall market too.
All right. Well, we'll just write it out here in a few seconds, and if you need to drop the mic or whatever.
If I stop talking all of a sudden in mid-sentence, you know we had some movement.
And you hear something going on. But
all right, I was leaning back in my chair and relaxing here. I'm getting serious here.
Okay.
20 seconds. You're telling me it's going to be a decent
I'm
number
just
to
saying,
trade.
there's something. I mean, we sometimes move on these numbers.
I'll be canceling orders in a hurry if it's something serious here. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Can we get Brenster? Can you yell this number out, or Spencer? You're good.
I'll yell it out as soon as I see it. I don't see it coming through though yet.
We moved a little touch. There was a touch of movement here. Oh yeah, we're touching. We're moving a little bit.
Wow, we actually moved off an econ data point. Because that wasn't the jobs number?
Sometimes we
There
don't
we go.
move
All
up.
right, core CPI for January, 0.2%. That's in line with last month and in line with the estimate. U.S. CPI as a whole, up 1.6%, in line with the estimate, and slightly down from last month's reading of 1.9%. CPI month over month for January, flat versus a down 10% estimate. So overall, nothing screaming out.
I tried to buy that 20-cent dip, Joel.
I know.
I actually threw multiple orders out at it. I missed on SPY. We got a 20-cent dip. I was like, oh, buy the dip, 20 cents, buy the dip. I actually did try to buy that dip, and I missed anyways. I tried to throw it. It went wide. So it went down to 61, and then it was like 61 to 75, and I was like, I threw out a 69, nobody hit me, and I went back up to the 80. Oh, the fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, it did get moving. I just didn't know that would be the only buy the dip opportunity of the day. But
you got to be all over these dips. They're only 20 cents now.
What about imbalances?
Let's go check them out. Okay, so we have Twitter. I bought Twitter yesterday. I did put this one in the swing trading portfolio. Going to stop out at the low of the move, and that's a pure just buy the dip trade there. It's one that was a story stock from last year, got hit. It's kind of now, it looks like it stopped going down from after the earnings. It seems like the third or fourth day they start to get some love. It also had some commentary, I believe, from, I can't remember, somebody raised a price target on it overnight. So I did just come into this for a swing trade. So I am along Twitter right now, full disclosure. 25,000 shares.
That's BTIG, I think.
It was BTIG raise their price target. Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like it's like gearing up to go. And Amazon, I'm kicking myself here because I thought this yesterday morning. I was like, Amazon's down for a couple of days. It's not going down anymore. I probably should buy it. And obviously it rips up $50. I did not get in the Amazon, but I was looking to get in that for a swing trade. So kicking myself that I didn't. So I did get in the Twitter. Procter Gamble, 30,000 to sell. They're small. These imbalances are all small, Joel. I do know Mobil, 37,000 to sell. That's interesting only because oil is trading higher. But oil is leaking here too. Like oil was way up this morning, and it's actually leaked a lot of the gains away.
Dennis Jar Jar wants to know why you trade the SPY instead of the S&P futures.
It's it's a tighter spread.
Okay. Yeah.
You go 1 penny spread on that. And E-mini is on a quarter point, so it's just a tighter spread. It's easier, and it's it's trades continuously where you got the breaks in the E-mini. So when you have the 4:15 break to 4:30 E-mini is closed, and then the 5:15 to 6 o'clock E-mini is closed. SPY is trading continuously, so I can always get in and out of it from trading after hours. And obviously the spreads are tighter usually. It's a penny, so that's why I trade SPY.
Okay. All right. 833 S&Ps. We're still, we had the dip down. Let's see, just real quickly. We dipped down all the way to 27.48. We're bounced up. The only interesting level I have up here, and as I told you, I don't have much on the resistance area except for that pre-market high, 27.57. I talk about mid-ranges on this session, kind of for just the only retracement we look at. Mid-range comes in here right at 27.50. So bulls and bears are trying to make up their mind here. Boom, let's see, TWLO now up $1.21 at 116.50. Stock Hands is asking you about EA, and he's saying the major resistance. I'd a little bit higher than that. You gave 106, but that's a good level. Last two highs, 106.70, 106.95.
I like the highs in.
Yeah.
I'm saying the EA highs in the move. And that's why I sold it. You got a little double top too. If you take that out, if it goes up above 107, I would say I'm wrong though. So obviously I would be wrong because I wouldn't be in. So if I'm playing it short, I would stop out at the recent highs. Say 107, call it 107.
Alexander Wang wants to know what we think of Square here. And it's moving up. It was a little bit stubborn yesterday. And I think early in the session, we are trading above 76 now. But over the last 2 days, man, someone's really wanted out of the piece at 75.88, 75.89. Those are your last two highs here. So we are trading up in the pre-market, but just don't know if that seller's mopped up there, considering how much the market rallied. Yeah. You think there would have been a little bit more alpha on that. But
I liked it better at 70. You're chasing it right now.
Yep, I agree.
You're up 5 points in 3 days. You're chasing a little bit now. It gave you multiple shots at 70. Wish I would have taken that shot. I've been bullish square here. I talked on the show for the last week and a half. Ever since, he got down the 69, 70 area. And I know I was on Jeremy Newsom's show too. And we were both saying we both like square. I just never pulled the trigger. I pulled the trigger on a couple day trades on it. I actually had it overnight, but I never pulled the trigger on a swing trade or a longer term trade. So, which I wish I would have.
Okay. All right here. But getting a lot of kudos here. Ackman's up 24.7% this year, Dennis. So
Ackman?
Yeah.
That's according
to CMG. CMG's had a good year too, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, CMG rallying from 4. He has huge position in that 450 up to like 600. Yeah, and it's been a dog market. A lot of the dogs, and not that CMG was a dog, but a lot of them have been bouncing back, and he has been a few. What's Ackman's holdings? Let's go look at this. This is a fun exercise.
Let's do this after our guest.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 8:36. So let's take a quick break and grab today's guest, Tracy Shucart. She is an independent trader with the focus on energy and crude oil markets. We'll be right back in a moment here with Tracy. And as promised, we are now live with Tracy Shucart, independent commodities trader focused on energy, crude oil. Tracy, how's it going this morning?
So good. How are you guys doing?
Good. I also want to mention she's a great follow on Twitter here. She's very funny, and at 4 o'clock on Friday, what is your saying? Mice down, drinks up.
Mice down.
Yep. Yeah. At Shy Girl. That's her. So Tracy, you mentioned you're away from your computers. You giving yourself a much needed vacation?
So I just had a quick little business trip. So
okay. So you're not in front you're not in front of your screen.
No, I'm not. But I know oil's trading at 53.34 this morning, so I'm not in front of my screens. But I'm in front of my phone.
Okay. Do you keep your positions on? Do you if you're going to be out of town for a couple of days, or are you comfortable enough trading on your phone or a laptop? What do you do when you're away from the market for a couple of days?
I mean, it really depends. I mean, if I'm in a swing trade, then obviously I'm just checking in on it all the time. I don't day trade. If I'm out of town for a couple of days, I'm just, not day trading, just watching any swing positions that I may have on.
Okay, so let's drill down here into the oil market. We had that big sell-off, really kind of out of nowhere, where everyone thought we were just book it. We're going to $100, and turned around,
right.
Peaked at 75, and then kids down into the lower 40s, and everyone's thinking, oh, we're going to 25 here. So you've had a rally, really not, a rebound nowhere near 50% here. Talk about the dynamics of the decline and the prospects for, a major rebound. I mean, a 50% retracement take you up to $62, $65. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, well, obviously we had that major sell-off, right? Because, we had all this hysteria going up into, Iranian sanctions, and we weren't going to have that oil, and 3.5 million barrels were going to be taken off the market. So the market just went crazy. And then what happened really is that there were waivers that much oil didn't come off the market. And also during the summer, we had OPEC say, okay, we're going to ramp up production. So all of a sudden, we had this big turnaround that, okay, the hysteria is gone. We don't have 3.5 million barrels off the market. And the market we had a mass decline. And I think it was also exacerbated by, the decline that we had in the equity markets as well. If you notice, OPEC, came in last December, when was it? Last December, when was it? The summer, sorry. They wanted to sort of stop that rapid decline, and we kind of stabilized in the $58 area. And then we had that last, puke into the 42 zone.
Okay.
And then oil kind of traded back up, equities kind of traded back up, and we're kind of really trading in that zone, that $50 to $55 zone where OPEC was trying to stabilize the market. So that's kind of where we're at right now. If you look at a daily chart and look left, we're kind of right in that same consolidation zone.
So what do you look at? I mean, I know you have data coming out on Tuesday and Wednesday, the inventory numbers, and I know you have OPEC, you have Russia. If there's any commodity, that moves off news, how do you prioritize these things? I mean, are you just waiting for them to be confirmation of your position? Will you fade into them and prioritize the reports and how you follow them?
I mean, I don't really trade off the news per se,
okay.
Right? And a lot of times, right before, if I'm not already in a position and I'm, if the number's coming out, I'm not in a, I get flat 15 minutes before the number comes out. I don't really want to get caught up because you have a lot of whipsaw. So I don't really want to get caught up in that. So I personally don't really trade off the numbers that way. I kind of like to be out of the market, let the craziness chill out, and then,
out of your swing trades? Out of your swing trades or your shorter term trades?
No, on the shorter term trades. If I'm just day trading. On a swing trade, I'm just going to, it's all noise, right? So, if it's, it's just intraday noise. If I'm looking for, a 1 to 2 week, 3 week, 4 week, whatever move, then it's just intraday noise. And, I'm not really, worried about it. If I'm day trading, then again, I like to be out of the market, let the craziness settle down, and then would look to re-enter the market that way. TT Mac wants to know your thoughts on these rumblings that Russia wants to break away from OPEC. Well, they don't formally have an agreement. So, it's kind of a handshake deal at this point. So they're not really part of OPEC. They're just, we made this deal to work together because, Russia's one of the top 3 producers along with Saudi Arabia and the United States. So they kind of needed, if they wanted to stabilize the oil markets, they had to reach out to Russia and some of its other sister nations kind of to help them, stop this market crash, right? So, Russia, I think they haven't really made any cuts, to be honest. They when they initially said, oh, okay, we'll be part of this cut deal, what they did is months before they raised their production by 300,000 barrels per day and then said, okay, we'll cut off of that. But it wasn't really a cut. And the same thing happens. The same thing is happening now where, they said, okay, we'll go ahead and cut, but was from literally the all-time high that they've ever produced. And, they pulled back, I think, 50,000 barrels, and they said that they would do 100 and something. But, Russia's kind of always going to do what Russia wants to do. And again, I don't think that so far they've been avoiding any kind of formal agreement with OPEC, as in writing to, have some coordinate, to have some cooperation. So they're still independent of OPEC, and I don't foresee that changing.
For the most part, since January 23rd, we've been in a trading range. We did have that little dip to 51.23 on Monday, but yeah, pretty much if you've been in the trading range, you've been looking at a 52. And then kind of the top of the trading range has been, I mean, there was a couple prints up near 56, but really been tightening in here between 52 and 54. Are you keying on those two areas? Okay, tell us your setups and how you're looking at it.
Well, I mean, I'm sort of looking at it. Well, my range is 50.05 to 55.45. So that's the key range that that's the band that I'm looking at. If you're looking at a daily chart and you look left, that's kind of the band that it's been trading in. So, I mean, we had a really beautiful setup with a wedge pattern right up at the top. We were trading at almost 56, and we came all the way back down to that 55, and that was a nice little broadening wedge pattern that just played out. I would be looking for that move played out. Now we're kind of back floating around in that wedge pattern. So really, I would be looking for this market to decidedly break, that 56 or decidedly break 50. If I was looking for more of a swing position. I mean, right now we're just kind of, floating around, and we've had a lot of news come out that's very bullish. The problem is, and I think almost the better trade right now, why we're stuck in this range, is that WTI Brent spread. Because what's happening right now is we have too much crude quality managed, right? So we have too much WTI floating around, and we just came out, EIA just came out with their estimates, and we're supposed to produce like 13.3 within 2 years. So we've got a lot of this WTI, this light crude hanging out, and with the OPEC cuts, with Iran sanctions, and with Venezuela sanctions, we kind of are having a crunch on the sour crudes. So I think almost the better play right now is that WTI Brent spread, which would be, short WTI, long Brent.
Okay, let's just talk stocks a little bit. I know that the S&P components, you got ExxonMobil and Chevron, big components of the S&P 500 index. So getting a little boost from the market. Let's just talk big integrated oils and any drillers you're keeping an eye on.
Not really. All of the majors did spectacularly well, and earnings came in, incredible, even with the big slide that we had last quarter. So, what they were doing, what investors were looking for them to do is working, even Exxon that's come out with, big capital expenditures, which kind of investors didn't really want to see oil companies doing that because they had been burned in the past because, the market slide and everything. I mean, they still did outstandingly well. Where we have a big problem, I think, right now is in the fracking sand, like FLCA, and we have a frac sand problem. We have over too much frac sand, which is, I think, last time that we were talking, actually, like it was a year ago, we had a frac sand deficit. So I was like all about, the frac sand companies. But now we have too much frac sand. So, I would be looking kind of, to short those companies, on any, really nice bounce there. Again, a lot of the majors right now are sort of the Permian Basin is really where you want to be looking, and Eagle Ford and back in, but Permian is the hotbed right now. And what we are seeing is that a lot of these majors are coming in and they're kind of taking over some of these small companies and investing billions of dollars there. So, I would be wary of some of the smaller drilling companies at this point and see where their assets lie. If they're in the Permian, then they're a little bit susceptible to, I think, being bought out. So, I would look at it to see, like I said, where their assets are as far as some of these smaller drillers.
All right, we've been on the line with Tracy Shucart, independent commodities trader, focused heavily on the energy markets. Tracy, as always, thanks for the time.
Thanks.
All right. All right, Joel, 850 on the nose now. Anything of note in the S&Ps here?
We missed the dip. We missed the dip off the CPI number.
I tried to buy it. I went out there. I was like, oh, we had a 20-cent dip. I better buy it. I bet the order out there. I can show you. 69 on the SPY. Yeah, I know. It's
Why'd you go there? What was the spread when you did that? Did you try and
rewind the show to what I said?
No. But
we're gonna get a 20-cent dip probably, and then we'll buy them straight up. It was 61 to like 75. It really went wide SPY. I guess
Hello?
I should trade E-mini then. I probably could have got the E-mini fell.
Yeah, they do go wide on that. Okay, S&P's
well, like super wide. So I just went in the middle. I was like, oh, hit me. Nobody hit me. And it's back up to 80.
All right. Moving up to the highs of the session, 57 even stands as your after hours pre-market high. If you're using the pivot point formula, resistance 1 comes in at 50 and 58 and a quarter. But man, those numbers are just not as reliable if you don't have a daily high or low that coincides with it. So let's move on.
I want to talk Aurora Cannabis again. ACB dip bought yesterday. Did you see the low of the day though?
The OG,
check out the low.
Yep. Should have known. 666.
The double trade works again. Now now there's 3 of them. You have the S&Ps back in 2008 bottomed at 666. GE bottomed at 666. Now Aurora Cannabis recently bottomed at 666. The double trade works again.
That's what Bill
I'm telling you, I'm going to patent that. I'm going to write a book about the double trade.
The difference is it's not like an all-time low or anything. So
Spencer.
Oh, Spencer.
Spencer has to ruin the party. But anyways, it's kind of a bit of a joke. But 666 bottom again. But anyway, buy the dip. I mean, I got bought. And the cannabis stock says you just kind of could feel it. That, they were all weak off the open. The market was strong. It's like, they're probably going to eventually start buying these things, and they did. And all of them really did get bought the dips there yesterday and turned it around a little bit here. So keep that in mind if you're trading the cannabis stocks here. A recent, I think yesterday's low at the open there was the turning point again. So I don't know if they're going to go into full-fledged bull market here again, but people are looking for dips to buy. These things are hot. The sector has still got the story behind it, and I wouldn't be surprised if these things start to show some life now.
All right.
Fan of pod here right now. I'm a pod stock fan.
Dennis, did you want to talk about Ackman's portfolio here? Still?
Yeah. I brought it up too. I learned something. I was like, this is a great tool, the Benzinga Pro. You guys should promote this more. So I typed in Pershing. I was like, oh, there it is. Pershing Square Capital Management Fund. And here is the holdings. So he doesn't own very much. He only got 7 stocks.
Yeah. Yeah, well, also he had more, but he sold Herbalife.
Yeah, well, he did. He is out of Herbalife. Yeah, so he's got Restaurant Brands as his biggest holding. What's that? QSR.
Yep.
And then he's got Lowe's, and he's got Chipotle, and United Technologies, and ADP. So we can bring all these up. Let's just see how he's done. So he's up 24. Yeah, QSR has had a good year, and LOW has come back from the lows, so that's done pretty good. CMG's had an excellent year. UTX has been going straight up. Look at Ackman. And I was giving him heat here this morning. He's hot again. ADP straight up here. Platform Specialty. What is the ticker on that one? Platform Specialty Products. What the hell is that?
I'm not sure. It's I'm not sure. That I don't know what that is, honestly.
Okay, I had to go Google that one.
Platform.
This is one I don't know about.
And Howard Hughes. HHC is his smallest holding. Howard Hughes.
PAH is that one. No, that's not right. That's not right either. Platform Specialty Hold. No, I'm trying to find the symbol for it. Platform Specialty.
It might
holding.
be some fancy non-equity type of holding. I'm not sure. Non-stock. I don't know what.
ESI.
ESI.
Oh, he took ESI. Is it ESI?
No, that's Element Solutions.
That's an edge.
It's okay.
Solution.
It's okay. Whatever.
Anyways, you're trying to figure out what that last
it's fine.
holding is.
The point is, Ackman's.
No wonder I can't even find the symbol for it. So
it's fine.
It looks like it used to be ESI.
Well, it's hot. He's hot. The point's
He's hot. He's hot. So we take everything back. Ackman is hot. I'm going to stop fading Ackman then, because he seems to be hot again. But everything, let's give it a little perspective. Everything was hot in January. How much was the market up in January? 12% or something?
Yeah, something like that.
12 or 13%. So he's outperforming the market. So good job, Mr. Ackman. Coming back.
Maybe I'll send another email and
Apologize.
sending in a nice email saying, can you come on Benzinga's pre-market?
That's really what you tried to get him, didn't you? And he said no.
A couple times.
And they weren't even nice about it. That's why we kind of give you heat all the time. So Ackman, you can make it all up to us. We'll love you again. You just have to come on Benzinga's pre-market prep. But when you refuse us, you take some heat.
It wasn't that he said no. It was that it wasn't nice about it. But let's get to a couple.
It wasn't him.
It wasn't him personally.
Right.
Oh, it's his.
It wasn't personally him.
Assistant.
He's not responding to our emails for himself.
Somebody should be.
Somebody else.
It's pre-market prep.
Okay. Some ratings that caught my eye this morning. DocuSign upgrade at Deutsche Bank. A hold to buy. There we had Shopify, which we've discussed, upgraded RBC, and that was the only upgrade. Oh, Freeport-McMoRan as well. FCX upgraded, and Morgan Stanley to overweight, but they lowered their price target from $16 to $14 for whatever that's worth. As far as downgrades that caught my eye, there was one.
Deere.
Deere was the big one. Downgraded Bank of America from buy to neutral. And Molson Coors, TAP, they had earnings yesterday, downgraded Deutsche Bank, buy to hold.
That one's chasing, so that one's uninteresting. This Deere one's out of the blue, though. This one is interesting, and the stock is getting hit pretty good here this morning. It's down 1.5% in the pre-market thanks to Bank of America. Stock was breaking out, so I guess they're looking at a buy high or sell high. Is this valuation call?
I haven't seen the note. I don't know.
All right. Anyways, Deere here down $2.50. Getting near 160, lots of lows down. Look at that 160 level, Joe. Look how many times you kissed it in the last 7 or 8 trading sessions. 160.07 the low on the 30th, and then you got a 160.18 low on the 31st, and then recently 160.11 and 160.25. There's got to be something in the book at 160 to buy. I got to go see. All those short-term traders stepping ahead of the big size at 160, I'd imagine. Let's go
guess what the pre-market low is 159.74.
Well, I would have been out there buying at 160. I don't see anything in the book.
That wouldn't have been the low. 59.74 wouldn't have been the low because you would have put an iceberg there at 160.
Yeah, I would have stopped it from going down.
Yeah, darn. We are $3 above that now, so I don't know if you're going to get a chance here to get this on the pullback. Dennis mentioned all the daily lows here, so I don't know. This is kind of like the one where you might get a quick whoosh down off the open, but I think people now seeing it $3 off that low, they're going to be interested. Maybe 160 3/4, 160.5, 160.25, leaning on that whole 160 area. As potential support. Real quick, before we do one of the ratings, I just don't want to forget to do Pivotal for someone in the YouTube chat. And it's moved up, had consolidation, moved up, it's had more consolidation. So the trend is your friend moving higher. I'd really like to see it just clear $20.
That's huge.
And say goodbye to 20 and then embark on another leg higher. If I was concerned about protecting profits, keep a close eye on this $19 area. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lows right in that $19 area. So trying to decide here between 19 and 20 consolidation here. What is this? Pivotal software. And sorry to take you back off the ratings. What was the other ratings that we wanted to cover? Stock.
I think you mentioned most of them there.
The big one besides the Deere downgrade was the FCX upgrade.
Yeah, I actually played this already. I'm out of it now because I feel like it's kind of a little bit overdone, up 4.5%. Yeah, it's Morgan Stanley, but I think over $12. And I sold early on this. I was selling out in the 1180s. 12.05 seems overdone to me, but I've got like the stat herb that I just basically, I say it's worth so much. A rating change from Morgan Stanley be worth this. It's kind of beyond that, at 4.4%, in my opinion. But, it's a stock that's been in kind of, a lull here. So it's getting kickstarted this morning. But I think if you're paying up to 12.05 this morning, I think you're paying too much.
All right. And you did pop on that up to 12.08 is your pre-market high. And then you got that 12.14 high, 12.05 and 12.01. So there has been resistance here at $12 over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So up over 12, holding 12, continue to move higher. Gap fill up. It's not a big gap fill here, but let's see it stay. If this stayed in the 12 handle, first 10, 15 minutes of the day, I think it'd be looking pretty good to the upside. It is a pretty thick stock, and probably have some sellers along their way. All right, it's 9 o'clock here. We're still getting some more stuff.
J&J just buying, and it's just interesting here. Just announced here a couple minutes ago, they're buying. I think it's a private company, Auris, which is a robotic surgery company for $3.4 billion. What's interesting here is obviously this is going to probably impact Intuitive Surgical. ISRG is getting hit slightly here on this news. We're down $2 here, but if you're trading ISRG, the reason that it just probably started going down is because it looks like J&J just bought a robotic surgery company and competition.
And I saw something, and I believe this was from yesterday, that J&J, so this news is probably baked into it. There's a first big depression advance, new drug since Prozac nears FDA approval, and that is the drug esketamine, I believe. It's a fast-acting treatment. So we'll see. And like I said, this happened yesterday, so it could be already baked into the market.
Trials 117. Spice we talked about already. We talked about it was 111, and I said I think it's going to go green. It's already done that, so I don't know what you do at this point in time. The trade was already made. Anybody who's listening to us this morning.
All right, Spencer, you want to wrap things up here in preview Thursday show?
Tomorrow's show we'll be joined by Chris Temple of the National Investor. But for today's show, I want to thank all of you who joined us both on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. Thanks to our guest, Tracy Shucart. If you missed any part of our show, catch our podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, and TuneIn, or just rewatch the show on YouTube. Please remember, all the information from our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing advice. Stayed a couple minutes late today, but that's okay. Hope you folks have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you again on Thursday.